same extent that a Xayah or a Kaisa can for Kobbe and for this team. I look at this and I'm like, unless Humanoid is just popping off on this Ryze, I almost think this is a wash of a draft at this point for Splyce. I don't see them as a strong Ezreal team unless Xerxe on Olaf is just popping off with Humanoid's Ryze.
Well, it would be a champion to be able to do it because he is 5-0 so far in 2019 with the pickup. It's certainly something that he's comfortable with.
Ooh.
And overall, like, I'm starting to like the feel of this Splyce comp. They do have the tools to be able to deal with it. And if SKT don't run a tank again, all of this damage will be very sticky.
Pyke is gonna come through. Ezreal Pyke in the bottom lane. And SKT not certain that Ryze is going mid either. They themselves banned LeBlanc, thinking maybe that's the last pick through here. Chachi plays it after all.
Explain yourself.
I don't know. I think it's divide and conquer. I was excited for the Yuumi hover. I'm like, oh, the poke on that, the Ezreal Yuumi. I could see it. You poke them off of objectives. Norskeren on Pyke. LEC supports are known for their Pykes. Norskeren is not necessarily one of them, but that is a lot of potential for Splyce to, again, hit and run League of Legends. Find people out, execute them, and create chaos on the map.
And Faker likely back on Tristana. 9-0-8 against Fnatic in their opening game of Worlds. Hard carry performance from Faker to start Worlds 2019. And a Fiora comes in as well. And the team are not certain which matchup the Ryze is in. They're saying it's okay. Both these look good.
This is terrifying. I look at that SKT composition. It has wonderful bridging points. It is strong in the early game with the Elise. It is strong in the mid game with the Kaisa. It is strong in the late game with the Tristana and the Fiora. It overlaps so well.
What if this is locked in? All right, Poppy's gonna come through. Poppy to the top lane. Poppy Fiora up top. Tristana versus Ryze in the mid. And Ezreal Pyke down there.
So here's the thing, in the LEC, when you have Ezreal Pyke, this is kind of the Fnatic special as well as G2. You have a safe laner who allows the Pyke to leave. This is really about blitzing in the mid lane, making sure that, as Spawn was saying, that Xerxe gets tempo control in the jungle with the Olaf, that they can then play pressure with Ryze and then put the Pyke on top of it. This is about Norskeren, Humanoid, and Xerxe controlling this early game to get this going for Splyce, and Kobbe being safe on his own with Ezreal.
And that sounds great until you attribute Splyce to that kind of playstyle, because they just upped the burden of execution on their comp so high. They had the safest 1-3-1. They were going to have a shutdown side of the map, a strong side of the map in the Ryze to be able to play towards, and so much sticky poke damage. However, now they're going up against an SKT lineup that, once again, has so much damage in this mid game. After one item, they are just a juggernaut to be able to deal with.
And then it only gets worse from there that they have the scaling options, and it's Faker on Tristana. This guy has been so hard to break. Perfect performance on his Lissandra. He was able to get out of so many plays. The Tristana, he has the same tools.
It's going to be an exciting matchup here as SKT take on Splyce in Game 2 of this best of 5. Predictions are SKT clean sweep this one. Splyce made him work for it the first one. Mid-game mistakes pulled them asunder. A new draft here. Maybe hard to execute, but an explosive one all the same. Ryze is great. Gank setup. The Pyke can roam around the map. I want to see what Splyce have in store for us. The pressure's off. Picking up a win is already a huge victory for them.
I want to focus in on the level 1. Now, it looks like a fan out right now. Usually what Splyce do, especially when you have this Olaf, is they look to contest Raptors and control the Raptor camp. Now, the scary thing is that I don't think Splyce for certain have the stronger level 1. They definitely have strong tools, but I think that this means that Xerxe will have to play for his own Raptor camp, but this is a very different speed that he's normally used to taking with Olaf. Usually it's delayed invade on enemy Raptors, you force that, you get mid-control, you walk to your own Raptors, and you're just cruising through experience.
And let's just briefly talk about level 1 tools. You would say, you know, Pyke, very good level 1, has the ability to stun 5 people. Ezreal as well as Olaf there. However, Ryze kind of sucks, level 1, to be completely frank. And then you have a look at the fact that Kaisa Nautilus, level 1. The fact that Nautilus adds plasma stacks for Kaisa to do so much damage at that portion of the game is very hard to deal with, so I agree with you. I don't think they're going to go for a blind invade. That ward is also pretty significant. Khan's going to hit level 2 off the first wave now that he's been able to pick that one up. But it does look like, once again, solo start for Clid.
Yeah, and also a topside start for Xerxe. So we saw him do this last game. He passed down bottom, tried to force it. I'll hold it.
A lot of damage early on. Norse got the half HP. He'll regen about a quarter of it, but big damage back on an effort. Honestly, that trade favors Splyce if Norskeren can duck into fog.
See whether he's able to, and I'm very interested to see whether these junglers path towards, because as you mentioned, Frost, this is going to be topside start for Xerxe. It is a little bit slower on Olaf because he does have to be able to pick up his blue buff to really start powering through his camps. And that means that, once again, there could be a lot of attention towards this bottom lane. As an Elise, as there's still a lot of trading going up here, Khan,
level 2.
with the Klepto really putting in some work.
And already a fight now in the mid lane as well. Chachi gets the root, no longer the shield, doesn't come through in the kit anymore. That one's gone, but blocks away, stays alive.
And what I was going to mention is the fact that this is Elise's ideal path. You want to be able to do the solo camps on Elise, because with the percentage health damage, she does them much quicker than other champions. So Clid might actually be able to beat Xerxe down here with more mana, with more health, and looks like he also has pushing lanes.
It's also the fact that Xerxe didn't get to play his standard Olaf, so good pathing and setup from SKT on the level 1 to, like you're saying, Clid's ideal pathing. He's able to get his own Raptors. It's the fact that Faker has complete control of that mid lane, is now walking into Xerxe's jungle to acquire information on this guy. And if you neutralize and defang Xerxe, Splyce fell apart. There is no early game without this guy.
And if he had done Gromp late, that would have been a potential kill. And now he's here for the potential 4-person dive, but 4v3 is a pretty hard one to do. I expect it to not be too much pressure as long as Kobbe can last it under turret, but now they're going to go for it anyway.
Hold
4v3, they're going to try. This is the attempt right now. A lot of damage. They're going to knock for the first one. Xerxe drops effort, drops aggro, and now Kobbe's forced to run. But that trade is in. The kills are coming through. It's 2 for 2 so far, and Norskeren remains alive. Now, SKT do deny some farm, but the kills are traded equally.
They are traded equally. However, look at the distribution. It is going to be Teddy. Hold the thought.
I don't think he can kill Faker, but he can stop the recall, and actually, the farm can be denied in the mid lane as Faker drops all that CS.
Yeah, so it is going to be kills onto Teddy. Once again, we're going to have an incredibly accelerated Kaisa in this game, and the fact that Kobbe missed out on experience,
that's good though,
is also a big deal.
I mean, it is denying Faker time in his wave. Vizicsacsi now.
We're still fighting. Chachi going to be slowed, and that shield is needed, but could he flash in? He's gonna, and over the wall they go. Khan cannot find it. Chachi, that flash was beautiful. There might be an escape still, though. As soon as the Q comes back up, he's over the wall. The flash chase, and Xerxe strikes him down.
And now it feels better for Splyce right there. Finally, Xerxe comes to his top laner's aid. Chachi just got punched to death in the first game, but this time around, Xerxe's got his back.
They're not done. They're not done. They're still willing to fight. Norskeren, though, just slinks away. The Ghost Water dive can't find the skewer.
And that could have been, once again, another play. That is actually SKT deciding to not go for the Flash Cocoon or the Flash Hook there. Would have absolutely meant that Kobbe had to burn his. But the start of this game has been played at such a frantic pace. 5 kills at only 5 minutes in. Want to check in with the fact that there are also very limited summoner spells, so I don't think the pace is going to slow down anytime soon.
And this is what we expected. It's unlocking Norskeren on this Pyke, trying to blitz in through the mid lane, but Faker is just, he's so hard to crack. Even with the tools of having things like the Rocket Jump or the Lissandra ultimate, he is so aware of a player, of knowing when he needs to play aggressive and when he needs to play defensive.
But I don't necessarily love that roam. We'll take another look at the dive beforehand, however. As we mentioned, 3v4 at this stage of the game is very hard. The turret heats up really quickly. You can see the effort on the back end is going to fall down to the turret shot, and then you can see Clid also trying to repel. So this was a very interesting play from SKT. They obviously thought they could get away with only 1 death.
Yeah, Axe, what's your move replay right there? The final turret shot, just really getting those kills, the 2 for 2, and of course, later on we saw that top lane fight, and I gotta give so many props right here to Chachi. This is a good fight for him already, good riposte, and this is gonna be a fight. He's not gonna chase in for any more right there.
I mean, it is Chachi's legendary Poppy. That said, you're still looking across from Khan's Fiora, and let's not kid ourselves. Poppy had to flash away from death, and if Xerxe wasn't there, Khan was gonna walk him down. So while it did look good for Chachi, it was definitely with a strong assist from Xerxe.
Yes.
Otherwise, Khan was just going to walk all over him.
And finally, this bottom lane will push out. I was going to mention the fact that I didn't love Norskeren's roam, and the reason for that was a wave was slow pushing against Kobbe, and he got denied so much farm. Look how far he Kobbe is down. With the double recall stop, I actually thought that they would be able to force that wave into turret, but with the gank coming from Clid, and the fact they didn't necessarily commit to it, they were able to maintain that freeze for such a long time. And now you can see only just starting to crash towards Kobbe's side of the map.
Well, right now the game pretty much equal in goal, despite the 1-kill lead that Splyce have so far. Solid probably for SKT, and Klepto, of course, being a part of that, but a 13 CS lead for Khan. Once again, top lane is going to be a big sore spot for Splyce.
And I agree with you, Jake. I think it's something to look at in terms of when Norskeren picks his moments to roam, and it just feels like I'm supposed to roam on Pyke. This is what I see Fnatic and G2 do, but not the same thought process that goes behind his windows and his wave manipulation. The fact that the wave, they didn't get the bounce back, they didn't get in a good spot for Kobbe, and ultimately Norskeren is also being punished because he's falling behind in experience, level 4 to level 5 right now. The CS difference between the two 80 carries plus the 2 kills on top of Kaisa. The Pyke pick really needs to transition to spreading gold with those executions and that ultimate. Otherwise, he is losing a lot of intangible assets for Splyce on this map.
And the reality is, with how fed Teddy is at this stage of the game, being the gold leader as an 80 carry, and now that they've taken down that dragon, wherever Teddy goes, Splyce probably can't fight. So that means if they want to flip for a Herald, if they want to play around plates, that we're once again going to see a game with a split map. See whether Splyce can try and navigate this early game as well as they did last one, because I was so impressed with their decision to once again continue to attack that bottom lane side. I think it was an incredibly brave play to leave their gangplank on that island, and I would like to see them try and do something similar this game.
Well, the one thing that's going to be nice for their attacks is the fact that the gold is on Xerxe. Now, that certainly Olaf is going to fall off in the late game, right? This needs to be converted, but wherever he attacks, like, he is rich, right? This is a very, very powerful Olaf right now. So if he can get somewhere with the semblance of a numbers advantage, he can get those kills over the line.
I mean, I agree with you in a sense of that Olaf doesn't have the greatest versatility in his play patterns for late game, but I wouldn't say he falls off. He does need to be ahead of the clock and have kill pressure to be valuable.
Well, they found a slow twist faker. Rock jump now for a nice buster shot to not get skewered back in, but they're going to find the first root, but pulled onto the turret by effort. That will mean the kill comes across, and the ult over as well. This could be more of a chase. Going to flash in, Ghostwater dive as Xerxe throws in the axe. They're going to kite away from this one, but Clid could potentially collapse with Khan based on what Chachi does up in the top lane.
And a really good read on the play there from SKT. This is a team, once again, that has so much experience. Hold the thought, Khan is quite low. Wave pushing against him.
He knows Xerxe is here, though. Puts on the ultimate. It's going to be chain CC'd. Tries to get some health back. Does he have enough? One more hit would turn it on, and the last few autos might come through. The axe not going to land, and he's stunned under turret. You have to be kidding me.
And this time around, it is the SKT jungler that gets there at the perfect time and is able to avoid disaster for Khan.
Just styling on them right there. Chachi overreaches right into the waiting hands. And now here comes the TP. Khan, I think, is being a bit greedy with this wave. He wanted to get it shoved in. It's Kobbe that comes through the TP, but because Xerxe hung around, this could actually really punish SKT as long as Splyce are very quick on this rotation.
And because Norskeren still hasn't returned to that bottom lane, you know, he's just not even laning down there anymore. It means they have to back away from that. Kobbe also is going to be enacting a bit of a lane swap here.
Here's the thing, though. Clid sitting on the control ward. You can see that we're going to go to Australian lanes. Teddy and Effort are on their way up here. Oh, no.
This could be a trap.
You can just 100% kill him if he hits the cocoon.
Depending on where he is, Arcane Shift can bring you to safety, but cocoon, you're just waiting. When is it going to come out? When is he getting hit with this? When is the button coming out?
He might be just waiting for Nautilus.
Yeah, bringing a teammate. Nautilus now spotted. They actually see him on a ward. So they know Nautilus is coming up. Now Clid shows up, lands the red smite, lands the auto attacks. Now Cocoon can't land just yet because of the minions, but how can you get out from this one? Now it's going to come in. The flash there, but you already knew they were coming, and Kobbe goes down. Clid just barely grabs the kill.
I mean, it was a valiant effort. Kobbe had the minions in front of him trying to use them as the body block, but just a matter of time there.
Now the dive looks like it could potentially be set up on mid lane. And once again, I feel like this was Splyce trying to get ahead of a play, trying to swap towards the top side of the map, but because of how strong Kaisa is, 20 CS up, has those 3 kills, it is going to be very hard to play the same side of the map as SKT's strong side, and that should mean that this Herald and control goes down.
Norskeren pulls in. Effort has to respect the potential cube. Might be on cooldown right now as the squad runs away from mid. A quick check-in on the top, aka bottom lane, Khan versus Chachi specifically. Back to equal in CS, both 0, 1, and 1, right? Both of them had chase downs that were turned over by the jungler very, very neatly here. So at least his matchup is going much better than last time around. The big difference really is the fact that Teddy is gigantic.
Yeah, but it's also kind of the responsibility that the Fiora is going to have to SKT later on versus what Chachi's going to be able to do on the Poppy. Being grouped up and forcing the 5v5, having that disengage for Chachi versus Khan, who, if he's in an even matchup, will eventually just eat this entire game if it comes to that for SKT. They'll always have that side lane win condition.
And let's not forget that last game, Khan got the counter pick. He did the most damage in the game, had the highest gold, and was absolutely destroying Chachi. This time around, it was Chachi was the counter pick, and he's nearly died solo 3 times. Like, it hasn't happened, but Khan has been in the position to be able to win this lane with a blind pick Fiora running Klepto. This isn't even a grasp Fiora.
It's just one of the realities of the issues with Splyce's active champion pool in this meta at this tournament. Chachi doesn't have the same carry champions that Khan is going to have.
Poppy was brought in after you saw the matchups, and now let's see what comes through. As top lane's being pushed, Teddy's going to claim a plate, no problem there. Mountain Drake is going to help, actually, and that's a little bit of extra gold into the pockets. The pull comes in. This could be a CC change, just barely able to jump backwards, but trying to stay alive. They're going to be able to. This is ulti down for effort. Looking at the next mode. Okay, a couple of shots come in, but not going to find any kills. That's going to be an easy pickup there on Rift Herald with a minute to play until the plates drop. That should be 300 more gold donated over. And
the reason that was such a soft contest is Khan does have teleport to be able to join. Not the best team fighter, but would be a numbers mismatch. So despite the fact that they do burn themselves that ultimate off effort, they're not able to continue to chase into Fog of War. However, they do want to try and deny this top lane turret from going down, it looks like.
So much gold only onto Teddy, too. That's now 2 kills in his back pocket, the completed Storm Razors, and he just got all of that Herald gold. This is a lot of resources being funneled onto a Kaisa. That's going to be a very big problem.
Khan and Chachi
slowly but surely, Spawn.
Fighting valiantly, but a Vamp Scepter on Fiora means you can do pretty good things there, trading back and forth, healing off the vitals. Chachi clears the wave, walks out. Farm again remains close to equal, but all the gold right now, the matchup advantages are specifically in Khan and Teddy on the SKT side. That is where the gold lead lies. 1,500 gold difference, and it's across those two. And now Effort wants to make it even more across those two as Chachi's running out of health. The ulti gonna be popped maybe. Nice push back. Effort not in range, and Xerxe not quite going to land the axis either.
And once again, it's the fact that Humanoid is cheating down into this lane that will be able to keep Chachi safe. But SKT is just winning in multiple areas right now. Top lane turret will fall down. You can see that whilst Xerxe has been trying to keep his lane safe, this Elise is now starting to build a CS advantage, which shouldn't happen in this matchup, certainly a slower farmer. So I think that a lot of panic in Splyce's gameplay.
Clearly a dodge.
Yeah, clearly a dodge.
Clearly a dodge.
He tried to play for the juke.
It's just so clean.
Happens.
So clean. Wave foot again, W popped. Oh, that's a stun. That's decent damage. Xerxe again dropped down to about 60%. Slowed down by the red buff. A level behind the Elise as well.
And now, unlike game one, this early game has been so decisive and one-sided from SKT so far. They've been able to pick up the Dragon, the Herald. They got themselves first turret. Second Dragon is also going to go down. And it really does feel like the game has just been played exactly on their terms. I'm really curious to when Splyce try to pick their moment, because you cannot allow the game to continue in this fashion.
I mean, you just saw it, Spawn. They threw out the hook and they just missed Faker. And the thing is those have been Splyce trying to pick their moment, but it's not connecting with anything. You now have Teddy at 2 completed items, the Rage Blade on top of it. Like, you're absolutely right. Pick up Teddy wherever he is. SKT are totally fine to fight, and Fiora's left to her own devices just punching down on Poppy in that bot lane.
And the reason I loved Ezreal as a counter pick to Kaisa is Kaisa has such an expensive item build, and it does take time to ramp up. Ezreal normally is able to beat her to the 2-item spike and then get control over this mid lane wave. The factor of the matter is Teddy is so far ahead.
2,000 gold makes it easier to spike your items a bit sooner. And to your point about this early game being placed to SKT's tune, none of the Splyce kills are by their own volition. Right? Their first 2 kills were SKT tower dove, and the turret gave those kills over. It was an equal trade. Khan overchased. Credit to Xerxe for being there, don't get me wrong, but that was Khan playing over aggressive and getting caught out. Splyce have not made their own kills so far this game.
Why you gotta do me like this? Nah, I understand. And you saw Splyce.
I don't have a reason.
I got nothing.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You saw Splyce. I don't have a reason. I might not have one after today. Here we go.
Okay, big damage and ever great stopwatch, but that was signs of life. That was a hook landing, decent damage. Finally, something forced out of SKT.
And I think this is what they need to do. You can see that right now. Once again, I think Splyce has made a great choice in this mid game. Humanoid is 40 CS up. He's going to be able to lane into the Fiora really nicely. Has been able to get towards his item Splyce without being shut down too much. And you can see they're playing his side of the map. Rotate Xerxe towards the, Chachi towards the play. Ensure that you're fighting around your tank, who at this stage of the game is going to be very hard to deal with.
And one of the, oh no.
Oh no, ulti, nice.
Okay.
Nicely aimed.
And one of the players that we haven't gotten a lot of time to talk about is actually Humanoid. He has grown a pretty significant CS difference between him and Faker. You can see that he's also got the experience lead. He's trying to find a matchup, and I expect that Norskeren and Xerxe will continue to kind of shadow underneath Humanoid and try to leverage this Ryze as the breaking point for them.
And once again, Pyke is a fun and interactive champion that if you get one team fight clean up with, is able to swing gold leads quite rapidly. So I think that this is what Splyce need to be able to do. They obviously have a strong side of the map that they can play towards now in this Ryze. They need to be able to push in and generate a fight. And Chachi's teleport is about to come back off cooldown. So I think, you know, we've been talking about the fact that SKT, they've had all the proactive plays so far. I think they will continue to have the ability to push in majority of this map, but it's not like Splyce are without tools of being able to try and fight back.
All right, well, we'll see when those tools come in. Right now, it's a 3,000 gold difference. It's 3K more than it was last time around in this series, and we'll see what happens now as we go into the mid game as SKT push forward. They've got their items. They're looking for the next piece of the action. 2 turrets to 0, 2 Drakes, but not the strongest ones. They're going to wait around and find the next big opening. There's the flash play onto the bottom side of the top lane as Faker's forced to flash away. A buster shot hits 2, and he walks away.
And it's the fact that Splyce pick to try to capitalize on Faker. Faker absorbs the pressure, and then that means that Pyke is not there, Chachi is not there for the teleport to avoid the mid lane tower going down.
And also, because the game hasn't been played at the frantic pace that we saw early, hold the thought.
You want it frantic.
Gonna happen right now as Norskeren just goes down. Teddy on a killing spree. Round 2 comes in, the stun is on top, out goes Kobbe. The re-engage could look pretty good, it's a shutdown. Xerxe finds his third, and the fight continues on an evict effort, but it's still SKT with more members. Chachi's trying to one, is nice, finds him in to jump to, but he's only gonna find some slows. The chase down will still happen. One more vital might be enough, and Khan is gonna find that kill, 8-4 in the scoreboard.
And that is what a gold lead team fight looks like. Norskeren tries to engage and just gets destroyed, and now SKT can potentially look to siege onto this mid lane turret.
I think it's much easier that they can go back, spend their gold, and start their setup for the Baron and the Cloud Drake that are spawning soon. That's kind of like the one silver lining for Splyce fans. Hey, at least you didn't lose a 5v5 right in front of a spawned Baron. Thank goodness for them, Baron wasn't there yet. But this is Norskeren getting popped like a balloon. Teddy does get delayed to the fight, which is why it looks like maybe Splyce might get something here. But as soon as Teddy walks back around and joins the fight, it's just front-to-back destruction from SKT.
And unfortunately, execution just wasn't there from Splyce. We saw 2 missed Qs from the Ryze on targets that did have spell flux being spread. That could have been a lot of damage coming out of Humanoid, but he's done next to nothing in that team fight from what I can see. And SKT, with this gold lead, means that they have so much more area to be able to misplay. Humanoid actually did quite a lot of damage for a couple of missed skill shots.
I mean, he's got the gold on his team, right? He's actually still up gold on Faker. He's winning in money against the winning team's mid laner. So if there's someone to carry this matchup, it is going to be him. He's got the Righteous Glory in there, so he can reposition, get into his opponents, and land that root, start things up. Maybe we'll see something come out of the mid lane.
Yeah, but Baron is now alive, so Splyce, no more mistakes. Like, the margin for error has shrunk considerably now because SKT win a single team fight, and it's basically game over for Splyce at this point.
And you can see that SKT just feel like they're so much stronger in the 5v5 and bottom lane.
There's the Righteous Glory. Can still catch up to Teddy. The root should be able to be landed. There is that on top, and Chachi come right afterwards. This should be a pretty easy setup. Point blank ult. Nice! He jukes it, but it's gonna be enough damage, but it's still traded back. Teddy claims the kill, and the rest of SKT are here. This has to be Chachi dying. I don't see how he lives on reflex. The riposte comes out. Khan lands all 4 vitals, and SKT get that second kill, and Faker's not done. Ezreal is trying to run, will just stay alive, and a re-engage comes across. Faker, that was a sick hook. That was a predictive hook. That was a nice one right there. Long-term play play goes 2-2.
That was the prediction there from Norskeren, and that's what we need to see on this high execution style of composition. You cannot miss those hooks.
And now it becomes easier because SKT have no flashes available. They got the back-to-back scrappy team fights, and now it means that they're able to look for plays like this. You see in the bottom lane, Teddy trying to trade aggressively, but Humanoid with a really great read attacks the side lane and is able to get a great shutdown for his team.
And I do want to compliment that Humanoid and Chachi did find an opportunity to pick off Teddy, but also really compliment Teddy. He plays this as perfect as he can to trade 1-for-1 in a 2v1 scenario.
I gotta give some thumbs down though. Humanoid takes 2 turret shots for essentially no reason in that fight, and that's even the reason he died.
Certainly is, and then we see also on the flip side of that play, the fact that Faker did fall down, having 0-1-5 performance, also down about 60-odd CS in his lane matchup right now. You can see that the farm values are slightly higher for Splyce. They're finding more farm on this map than what SKT is able to.
And their stats were close coming out of the group stage, but SKT was overall finding more farm across this, but there's at least something in the Splyce side now. Again, it's going to be Khan trying, but not an easy way to find Humanoid, and waits it out. That's going to be the route. This could be enough! Oh, that's a juke in the queue, but Exhaust comes in. He's going to try. He needs to land the skill shot, but he can't get into range, and Khan just walks away.
And this makes me think that the Ryze is a denial pick. It is not the comfort pick. They are afraid of it. They banned it from blue side. They denied it from Faker playing it, and you can see Humanoid, he is not connecting in the same way that he needs to with such a powerful champion. If that is Doinby, if that is Faker, that doesn't happen.
I mean, that's also just experience. On the biggest stage, with this crowd screaming, you saw their faces before the game. They were obviously very happy to be here, but I guarantee their hands are a little bit shaky and the setup is not what they're used to. And just in crucial moments, the mis-executions have cost Splyce in this game.
That Baron is going to drop down rapidly. No one's around to stop them. SKT, okay. Had to give that one the respect, but it comes through. Also the solo kill for Khan in the picture-in-picture. SKT went on both halves of the map.
And now they just got everything again. This is another game where it looked like Splyce was starting to claw their way back into it. They had burnt the summoner spells. They were getting the scrappy team fights that Pyke needs to be able to survive. But unfortunately, they lose the bottom lane and they lose the Baron. And with 5 members alive now, SKT are just going to be able to march these waves into the base and start accumulating an even bigger gold lead.
And there's not traditional wave clear, especially when Humanoid is dead on that Ryze. So these towers will fall over, but I've got some good news. Faker is now at 99 international wins. Do you know what that means?
That means this one probably is going to be number 100.
99. Yeah, I agree. Splyce going to come back. I'm sorry, I'm trolling you.
You are trolling me. But there's a reason that we call him the greatest of all time. Hook will miss. This is a guy that has been able to reinvent himself so many times across League of Legends. First known for his brilliant assassin play, then relegated towards tanks, has even spent time on the bench, but the fact that now Faker is back at another World Championship and looking to contest for a crown.
They're going to look for this kill. He's going to want to riposte, but he can't. Now he's going to try to run away. And he's able to, but he's still rooted in place. He's got the team coming across and just walks away.
Got him. Nailed it.
Oh, round 2. Chachi, gonna look at Faker, but he's kind of squishy, all things considered. There's a whole team ready to fight him. Has to jump away from that one, loses the flash, looking for the re-engage, not gonna find it there. Xerxe and Norskeren, he's gonna bring the, almost finds the stun to the rest of his team. They're gonna jump into the backline. That's Teddy right there in a duel now with the entire rest of the squad. This has to be a kill. This has to be Splyce fighting Teddy, and yet they can't. They can't find a single kill. SKT walk away with everything again.
And once again, you see the indecision from Splyce. They don't even look like they want to fight there. They're just crowding around the Raptor camp now with 2 members dead. SKT might even look to end the game.
That was literally Kaisa like, open up, here comes the airplane, drives right in, and then just walks it back out. They're not walking to the Nexus.
25 minutes in, onto the turrets right now in a 5 versus 4 as one of the respawns comes in. Splyce gonna do their best to defend themselves as Khan is gonna jump away, block the CC and get out. They will not lose the Nexus yet, but that is a 5,300 gold Baron power play with a half-open Nexus.
Okay. A different team on a different day might try to push the end there, but that is not SKT's style. We've said they have sped up, but it's still not to the point where they are willing to take reckless risks. Once again, with the amount of shutdowns available right now, they do not want to give that back over to the opponent. I respect the decision to back away. They've still got a minute left of this Baron, see whether they can get anything else done with it, because they are so... That's a Medjay's built up on a Kaisa, by the way.
The respect you were talking about, yes?
Yeah, all the respect. But this is what I meant. It didn't even look like Splyce in that choke point really wanted to commit. They didn't have Xerxe up the front with Xerxe fishing for those kinds of engagements. It wasn't until, you know, Teddy flew into the backline and tried to donate some gold over to Splyce.
I mean,
they were really sucking into it.
Big confidence play coming out of Teddy
Yeah.
right there. He's like, I've got the stopwatch. I think I can outplay these kids. Wasn't wrong.
Wasn't wrong. 5-1-5 has the Magi's for good measure. Going towards them, pretty sure that's going to be a Gunblade. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's Proto Belt. Teddy's going to Proto Belt into the squad. Really wants to dive in, see what they can do.
I mean, just the damage that's going to be coming out of the Kaisa W with that build.
A lot, I'm going to say. A lot is probably the amount here as they continue to push now at the bottom side. Baron buff has timed out. The minion's mostly gone. Faker pulled in, but yeah, on reflex, buffers the rocket jump, gets the cast animation in before the hook lands, and now towards the back line, they're going to find a couple of stuns. That means the dive can come in. Xerxe, he's trying to run away. One auto would kill him.
Here comes
Just
Xerxe.
Barely going to live. Clid has knocked down Humanoid. Teddy once again right in front of the squad, and the Zonias comes out. He's going to stay alive, but the kills just keep coming through, and no one is left to defend. Khan will die, but that's going to be it. SKT an ace for a death. The minions already on the Nexus, and even faster than in game one. SKT gonna clamp down on Splyce, a 2-0 lead, and one more to go until they reach that semifinals.
An absolute slaughter for SKT towards the end of that game. In back-to-back team fights, Splyce can find nothing. And you can just see how confident this lineup is. That was the longest flank of all time coming through from Xerxe, but they just kept running forward.
The Hail Mary of flanks, if you will. Just marching after SKT.
I appreciate the effort. I appreciate the attempts. There were some glimmers in that game from Splyce. Overall, though, this game is what I think so many people expected this series to look like. SKT in absolute control from start to finish.
So far what we've seen is Teddy have a pretty poor performance in game number one. Faker didn't have a great performance this game. A couple of nice buffers, but he wasn't really involved in that many of the actions. That's why people are scared of SKT this tournament, because they have fantastic players in every single role that even match to match will step up and win you games.
And I was just about to kind of define what the expectations would be for SKT. Like, how hard do they have to win for people to maintain that confidence? And it's like you're saying, the fact that, you know, it's not every game being like, oh, Faker, come on, Teddy, like just screaming about how good their players are. It's just how terrifying this team is. How when they get a stranglehold over you, they just rip games away.
It feels like an inevitability. When SKT start to get that lead, they start to choke you out on vision. It's just like, I've read this book before. The same tropes are coming in. Get more creative with your storyline. Like, I can see exactly where this is going. And unfortunately for Splyce, they had opportunities in that game to be able to change the script, you know, to be able to upset the apple cart, but just mechanical misexecution at, you know, kind of crucial moments in that game. A couple of from Humanoid really did swing it back towards SKT's favor.
And I want to kind of stage set like the relative skill level of teams here, because SKT, I think, are making Splyce look a little bit silly. They're clearly a very top-end team. Splyce is the number 3 team in Europe. Like, they're exceptional. They bested the number 1 team in the LMS and the number 1 team at Vietnam in their group stage. Like, they have shown they can beat the world's best. I mean, they went close with the number 1 team in the LPL as well. Like, they can do well against some of the world's best. And then that next level SKT where you're like, oh my gosh, this is so much more work to do. And that's going to be hard to make up.
There's world's best, and then there's